Hey, so happy New Year! And today, in our philosophical Wednesday, we'll talk about the full stack developers, and not even about the full stack developers. Over the decade, I observed the fun thing that we have the open discussion. If full stacks are something real, could one person maintain so diverse set of skills? And do we need some heavy backenders that spent 25 years in Java and know Java super deep? Or maybe we need a guy that could do everything. And what the difference between the developer and engineer? And what about the software engineering as a discipline and all those things? And you know, full stacks was quite good concept that's supported by many businesses and especially the startups, because when you have the full stack developers you could distribute the load with much better, right? So you have the people that could do the diverse set of tasks, and you don't need to think that that somebody just sit on bench when somebody else just try to survive because they have enormous amount of task and load. And it's hard to say. I still believe that we need the experts for sure. But at the same time, we need the generalists. And it's a war, not about the full stack developers. It's a war, the holy one, about the generalists and experts. So the generalist, he understands a lot of things. He could integrate the different domains. And in a big scale organization, actually, you usually have, you know, the seniors that do the stuff quite good. And then you have the staff engineers that actually focus on some dedicated domain. They are the gurus and experts in some dedicated domain, and maybe even take on the part of the architectural work and all those things. And you have the principals, and principals, they have a special function in engineering organizations. They glue together the experts. So the expert of experts that actually more on the generalist side that able to understand the different domain and knowledges and glue them together to the solution. So they do mainly the architecture and technical vision work. And it's the main purpose of the principal engineer. And actually, I'm the principal engineer in my organization. And so we still have the question, could we have the generalist that have ability to learn the skill that overperform the experts? And yeah, and which level of the skills are required to do the job? And it's the same question about the full stack developers. Could they acquire the skills that enough for them to do the day-to-day job? They don't need to be the narrow gurus of everything. They just needs to have enough of understanding to make things happen. And for sure, the expert in a narrow field will overperform, for sure, the generalist. But the generalist could go far enough to make things happen. And another superpower of the generalist that they try to learn from the different cases, from the different domains. They integrate the knowledge, see the patterns, and sometimes they could go much far than the narrow experts because they simply see the wider picture. They see the different things that maybe not so obvious for others. And I believe that organization need both, and that you need to have the gurus and you need to have the people that could just abstract the knowledge and see the wider picture and create the strategies and all of the things. We could not just build the team from one or another. But if we go into the scale of the startups, startup will always prefer the full stack developers because they small. and they could not have the experts for every field because they simply don't have the resources. And even if the full stack have the not so bright knowledge in comparison to the narrow expert, they will win because it's easier to manage them and it's easier to distribute the tasks. And it's the biggest shift of the last decade to more T-shaped or I don't know, M-shaped people that they have the broader expertise but couple of narrow domains. And it's a normal thing, but it's required the time. You could not be the full stack developer, or I don't believe on the junior full stack developers. As same as I don't believe in a generalist with the 5 years of experience. You require the time to go deeper to the different domains, reintegrate them together, and all other things. Another quite interesting thing that I observe over time, especially in the startups, it's what we call the barefoot experts. It came from China actually because they had the government program for barefoot doctors because it was not enough doctors in a country and especially in some isolated villages. So what they made, they took the people from the local communities and they give them the basic education about some medical stuff, how to treat people, how to make some first aid, and it's really decreased the mortality. So it was extremely successful project was this Barefoot Doctors. And if you're talking about the Barefoot developers, actually it's the people in a community that have some IT skills and maybe could automate something for the community that the bigger business do not wants to take care of. And when we are talking about the Barefoot experts, it's usually happen in a startup that you have some field and you have some smart people that maybe don't have the skill yet, but they could be curious and acquire the skills, even if they doesn't know anything about, I don't know, the data engineering or something like that. So the barefoot experts actually as the generalist that ready to learn and try to acquire the skill that he maybe not so deep, but over the time he will get the necessary knowledge. And still, it's really depends from field to field because some fields require the deep understanding of the mathematics and couple of years in the universities that allows you to do it so. But it's yet another holy war. Then, do we want to do the science, or do we want to do applied science, or do we want to solve the real life problems with a bit of science and another magic? And these three different statements require completely different, uh, dimension and the tip of the knowledge. So maybe you're not able to explain how things really work super deeply, but maybe you could sorry, take the tools and use them. So it's what engineers do it over the decades. That they just find the tools that other people develop and find the way how to apply them. And here become the final idea that we have the experts, we have the generalists, and we have the barefoot experts that actually usually grow up from the generalists, and all of them actually have the engineering core. If you're talking about IT, and the engineering core actually is the engineering thinking. It's the thinking how to solve the problem with the tools and the resources that you actually have. And this engineering skills actually they are more closer to the generalistic spectrum because uh, I don't believe in the React developers. You know, the guy who came and say, "Oh, I am doing only React. I am doing React super well for 20 years," and every time they face the problem that maybe do not fit particular framework or particular need, they just say, "Ah, we need to hire somebody else to do it." So maybe the big organizations uh, could uh, could operate on this setup, but it's quite uncommon that, for example, the small startup will afford the bunch of the React developers, you know, and I believe that we all needs to be engineers. I believe that we all needs to learn, acquire the new knowledge. And I also believe that we should not find alone. Maybe we could just find the people in the industry that happy to share their knowledge and happy to share their experience. And maybe on this setup of the curious people that able to learn from others and apply it to the, you know, the real life problems, it's the way to go. So I still believe that we will have more and more full stack developers. I even believe that in this year we will have the new hybrid roles where we get the new dimension of LLM and machine learning knowledge to the full stack. So we will have some full stackish machine learning data engineers that do the software development. Yeah, the amount of knowledge is huge. And I don't think that we will have much of these people, but we will have more and more people and in this domain that will be in between of the machine learning and the engineering. Also, I think that artificial intelligence tools like Cursor, Windsurf, and other things will help us to write the code. Will help us to write the code that we will focus more on the business logic than on some particular tiny things, and it will extend the capabilities of the full stack developers. And maybe they will make the possibility to lower you know, the entry point, and we will have more younger full stacks that will use the AI tools to compensate the absence of the knowledge. And it's the reality, it's the shift that we all need to agree that we will get more and more developers that will operate in quite diverse set of skills with the help of AI. And I know that a lot of narrow experts uh, just refuse to believe on this. But it's our reality, and we all need to adapt. And I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think that it's a good thing, and we need to invest more on the fundamental knowledge. We need to invest more on the engineering thinking about the quality software production. We need to, you know, have the ability to judge if the code that generated by tool is a high quality or low quality, or maybe we need to take care more about the thinking about the problem, defining the edge cases, and have effective prompting and all other thing. So I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think that the full stack developers with the AI capability and AI tools will be the trend of the next, oh, already this year. So I wish you the good 2025. Let's stay connected and yeah, just get smarter.